Miller's remodeled game. No longer living by the outside shot alone, Miller has dialed up the inside game, giving the Bruins a potent new look. And while Miller kept the Tar Heels busy inside, senior guard Montel Hatcher was lighting it up from three-point range. The upset was an important win for Walt Hazzard, who has brought national prominence back to Westwood. But tonight, UCLA must face Temple's All-American candidate Nate Blackwell, who makes the Owls' offense go. Temple's defense is anchored by the nation's second leading shot blocker last year, 6'9" junior forward Tim Perry. His ability gives John Chaney's Temple Owls an extremely dangerous and very exciting transition game. Walt Hazzard and John Chaney match wits in the old neighborhood. UCLA and Temple next on USA. Live from McGonigal Hall on the campus of Temple University, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. USA Sports brings you college basketball 87. Tonight, the Bruins of UCLA take on the Owls of Temple. Good evening and welcome to Courtside. Bob Carpenter along with Bucky Waters. And Bucky, they are excited about this one here in Philly. They don't get to see UCLA too much in a gym like this.
Well, UCLA coming from Madison Square Garden on Saturday afternoon, and tough St. John's comes into a very small, noisy gym. A real test on the road for basically a young club.
This is more than a basketball game tonight. It is a homecoming, especially so for the coach of the Bruins, Walt Hazzard, out of Overton High School in Philadelphia. He's back home coaching tonight.
Well, he was a wizard in his own right as a player. He went to UCLA, went west, one of the first great Eastern players to do so, and helped John Wooden win his first national championship. He's home, and he's kind of enjoying it.
And he also came home and took an outstanding high school player with him, Pooh Richardson, a 6'1" sophomore point guard, one of the best in the nation.
Already at UCLA, he's had 14 assists on several occasions, which ties him career-wise. An exciting point guard. He has a lot to prove. Sometime when a player comes home, it doesn't work to his advantage.
And when everybody talks about UCLA, it's number 31, Reggie Miller.
Yes, and Reggie's having some problems. A little bit of ankle problem, had some flu this morning, but when he's right, an offensive machine. He went for 16 in the Garden on Saturday and almost pulled it out for the Bruins.
And if he can't go all the way tonight, a tough freshman out of L.A., Trevor Wilson, will get the call.
Well, Trevor Wilson will change the chemistry of the Bruins. He's the slashing forward of old that UCLA used to put on the floor. They go from a finesse team to a muscle team. I really like him.
The Temple Owls, a basketball team that very well could be unbeaten right now. Both of these teams are in the top 20. Temple played UNLV very tough to within 2 points. Their only loss of the year. And Bucky, if you're going to run with the running Rebels, you've got to have a good runner of your own. Nate Blackwell is that.
Well, he's a tough Philly guard, Bob. He's 6'4", but he plays about 6'6". Temple last year was the very best team in the country in Division I at not turning the ball over. He's the reason he has it 90% of the time.
On defense, the intimidator is the 6'9" junior center, number 33, Perry, Tim Perry. He is outstanding defensively, but pretty good on the offensive glass as well.
He went 11 times for double-doubles in points and rebounds, and only David Robinson had more skyjacks last year. He's the enforcer in a very complex but effective Temple zone defense.
Tough place for UCLA to win on the road. They are ranked number 17 in the nation by AP. Temple is ranked number 20. The lineups of the Bruins and the Owls coming up next from Philly.
AT&T is in graphic detail.
Hi, Hiroshi.
They are going wild at McGonigal Hall here in Philadelphia tonight. Excited about this one on the campus of Temple University. Their Owls come into the ball game with a record of 7-1. They've already won their first conference game as well. They're ranked number 20 in the Associated Press poll. Bucky, they're very tough to beat here. 24 straight wins and 61 of the last 62.
Well, not only that, but they've proven it on the road. Already in the preseason NIT, they went to Virginia and won. They went to Villanova and won. In the Palestra against a tough city rival, they came from 20 down at the half to win. They've beaten Memphis State on the neutral floor, and if it were not for a buzzer beater, this Temple team could well be number 1 instead of UNLV.
Here are the lineups and the PA announcer, John McAdams. This evening, Temple University presents the UCLA Bruins and the Temple University Owls. Let's meet the starting lineups. First, for the visitors from UCLA. At a forward position, the junior, 6 feet, 8 inches tall, from Denver, Colorado, number 52, Craig Jackson. At the other forward is senior, 6 feet, 7 inches tall, from Riverside, California, number 31, Reggie Miller. At the center spot, a senior, 6 feet, 10 inches tall, from Seal Beach, California, number 15, Jack Haley. At the guards, a senior, 6 feet, 1 inch, from Venice, California, number 12, Montel Hatcher. At the other guard, a sophomore, 6 feet, 1 inch, from Philadelphia, number 24, Jerome Pooh Richardson. And the head coach of the UCLA Bruins in his 3rd season, Walt Hazzard. For the Temple University Owls. At a forward position, the junior, 6 feet, 9 inches tall, from Freehold, New Jersey, number 33, Tim Perry. At the other forward, a sophomore, 6 feet, 7 inches tall, from Morrisville, Pennsylvania, number 32, Mike Breathwick. The center spot, a junior, 6 feet, 10 inches tall, from Carolina, Puerto Rico, number 44, Ramon Rivas. At the guards, a senior, 6 feet, 4 inches tall, from Philadelphia, number 3, Nate Blackwell. At the other guard, a junior, 6 feet, 1 inch, from Philadelphia, number 21, Howard Evans. The head coach of the Temple University Owls in his 5th season, John Chaney. The officials for the team's game, Eddie Curry, Jody Sylvester, and Joe Brady. It is a battle of top 20 teams here in Philadelphia this evening. The Temple Owls are rated number 20 by AP with a record of 7-1. UCLA rated number 17. The Bruins. Tonight's game from Philadelphia is brought to you by AT&T. Whether it's telephones, information, or network systems, AT&T is the right choice. By Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Prudential, offering a full range of insurance and other financial services. And by the U.S. Navy, live the adventure. Which is just what we may be living here this evening. Temple, tough at home. UCLA will match it up against the Owls. Bucky, your thoughts on the matchups?
An excellent point guard matchup. Blackwell, who's giving or actually taking a few minutes, a few inches from Pooh Richardson, but Richardson wants him. I asked Hazzard today, why are you putting Pooh on Nate? And he said, because he wants him. And that's a good enough reason.
The officials tonight are from the Atlantic 10 Conference. Jody Sylvester, Mickey Crowley, and Jerry Donahue from left to right. And we're set to go with the Temple Owls in their home whites trimmed in red. The Bruins in their road blues trimmed in gold. It was Tim Perry controlling the tip. Pulling it down was Ramon Rivas. And to the left side it goes now for Howard Evans. There's the jumper from Perry. He's averaging 12 points a game. And the streamers come down on the floor, and we'll have a delay while they clean up McGonigal Hall. It's a messy tradition here in Philadelphia, but they love it.
For those of you on the West Coast, in every place basically but the East, this is a tradition that kind of annoys folks because it is an unnecessary delay, and I've always wondered if it was the best interest of the home team. Here they are, all pumped up. They start the game with a bucket, and now the momentum goes down. And I've always been concerned, too, that perhaps a little piece of the debris will not be taken off the floor and could cause an injury. That crepe paper on a wax floor is just like ice. Walt Hazzard says, yep, Mummers Parade, cheesesteaks, and streamers after the first basket. I'm back in Philly.
Nice December weather on top of that outside, too, which you don't always get up here. It's 2-0 Owls, and here come the Bruins for the first time. Leading the offense is Pooh Richardson out of Ben Franklin High School. A 3-time All-Stater here. He was an All-American as well. He's 24. He dumps it inside, and it was Perry knocking it away on the Bruin turnover. Blackwell for Perry. Is he 2 for 2? Not yet. Here's Rivas. And a foul. Ramon Rivas goes 6'10", 260. He put it all to work there, and it was Jack Haley, 15, outmatched on that play.
Temple just beating the Bruins down the floor. UCLA very much likes the fast lane. They go very quick from defense to offense. They're going to be surprised by this Temple team if they don't get back. Temple runs the ball very well, very smart.
Rivas has a fine touch from the line for a big man. He was shooting 91%. The Owls as a team, 75%. They have the 4-0 lead. Here's a takeaway momentarily by Howard Evans, and it will belong to Temple.
Walt Hazzard gets up, puts both palms toward the floor, looks Pooh right in the eye and says, "My man, slow it down, take charge."
It's got to be an emotional evening for Pooh Richardson as well. Just a sophomore playing in the old hometown here.
Good matchup there.
Blackwell against Richardson, down deep to Perry, and backing in, committing the foul. UCLA's Craig Jackson, number 52. Quickly 2 team fouls on the visitors. We are 51 seconds in. The throw-in will come from Nate Blackwell.
Interesting, Bob. Both of these teams are basically perimeter teams. Temple's been able to get the ball down inside early. It's like establishing a running game in football before you go to your best, which may be passing.
An attempted three-pointer by Blackwell. A little bit short. Here come the Bruins with Richardson dumping it left side for Jackson. Off the glass, nice touch for the big man who's averaging 7 a game. He is shooting 58% from the field, a 6'8" junior out of Montebello High School in Denver. A former 2-time Colorado Player of the Year. The Bruins are on the board. It's 4-2. Evans with his first attempt rimmed it out.
Temple putting it up rather quickly. St. John's was successful on Saturday. There's one from outdoors.
That was a 3-point shot in any league by Reggie Miller, and he missed it. And here come the Owls again.
Most people get a hernia launching it that far. He doesn't look very strong. Gets a lot of power from his legs.
Here's Rivas with the turnaround. Little strong off the glass, but Perry is there with the board. The jump hook won't go, and Jackson has the defensive rebound. Richardson against Blackwell. That'll be something to watch all night long, those two working on each other.
Richardson has played in this gymnasium in the summer leagues. His choice boiled down to UCLA or Temple. A lot of feeling in this game.
It just won't fall for Pooh. Nearly 2.5 minutes in. Howard Evans, 3-point range. It won't go for Mike Grieswick. And on the ensuing play, a foul against the Owls.
UCLA in a man-for-man. The Temple offense against man-for-man is basically Rivas and Perry hanging around the blocks, and the 3 outside men just moving to get the shot. Temple is very much a perimeter team, and I think they surprised UCLA early by going down big men, and now they've left that. They're back on the perimeter.
That was their first team foul. UCLA has 3. The Bruins with Miller going left side. A long-range shot is short from the hands of Montel Hatcher, who is fairly proficient from that range out there, coming in shooting 40% in 3-point attempts this year.
The book on him, though, is he has to hit early. If he is not shooting well early, take him out and go to somebody else.
As a team, UCLA came in shooting 43% from beyond the line.
Their defense is good, though, Bob. They've been holding opponents down around 40-41. Their problem has been offensive rebounding.
Oh, Miller penetrating. He dumped it down for Jackson, and guess who? Tim Perry, his 21st block of the year.
This is called a sky check. Not tonight. That's important for Perry to have success early. He is the enforcer.
Tipped away. Down the court comes Howard Evans. And the foul on Montel Hatcher as Evans made it happen.
I was impressed with the officiating that time. That deflection deep into the backcourt, and yet Jerry McConaughey was back there in front of the play. Very impressive. These officials are Atlantic 10 officials. Walt Hazzard had a little to say about the fact that St. John shot 32 free throws and his Bruins shot 11. But he said that's going on the road, and that's what we have to do with this team, and we have to get tough.
Howard Evans is shooting 82% this year, career 84%. He's averaging 13 a game. He's out of Philadelphia's West Philly High School, a 6'1 junior. And the home team has a 6-2 lead. We're 3.5 minutes in. UCLA is 3-0 at home, 0-1 on the road. That's the loss at St. John's over the weekend. From the left side, and count it from Montel Hatcher, who's averaging 10 a game and shooting nearly 50% from the field. But as we mentioned, if he gets hot early from outside the three-point line, look out.
UCLA soft pressure down the court, man for man.
Won't go for Vrieswijk. Underneath, it's Ramon Rivas with the foul.
Rivas trying to grow a little beard there.
He can grow anything he wants. 6'10", 260 out of Carolina, Puerto Rico.
He was recruited in an amazing way. They watched the game on television in which Temple was eliminated from the NCAA 3 years ago. And they liked what they saw and heard about Temple, and he never even visited. He just showed up to watch the score.
Miller skating his way in, unable to get it off the glass. And then an offensive foul on the follow. Reggie Miller is averaging 25 points, 8 rebounds a game. He's shooting 58% from the field.
He was held to a deuce at half, came back with 16 big ones as the Bruins tried to pull it out in New York on Saturday.
Nate Blackwell will be the one knocking it in.
Only one scoreboard is operating, Bob.
Well, they had to sacrifice one scoreboard to knock off the horn, I guess.
That's a fair trade, but a distinct advantage. However, the shot clocks at both ends are working, which is fair.
Coming down to the end of the half, UCLA will be able to look up and see the scoreboard. If Temple does not get the scoreboard fixed, the Owls will not be able to see it straight ahead. Here's Blackwell matched up against Jerome Richardson. And the turnover as it was intended on the left side for Vrieswijk, who didn't come out far enough to receive the pass, and that's the first turnover by the Temple Owls. UCLA has coughed it up a couple of times.
Well, he came out what he thought was far enough, but Trevor Wilson had his teeth on his belt buckle. This whole club changes with him in there. They're powerful now.
From the corner, it's a swishing two-pointer for Montel Hatcher. Well, they call it a three-pointer. The official in the corner did not raise his arms. He had 2 fingers held out, but they gave him 3, and the Bruins lead 8-6.
Blackwell taking Pooh Richardson down inside.
Evans to the right side. A rainbow from the arms of Vrieswijk was short, and here come the Bruins again. Transitioning is Pooh Richardson. Montel Hatcher couldn't drop that one. Off the hands, out of bounds. Tim Perry, the last man to touch it for Temple. It'll belong to the Bruins.
The Owls really pressing. They've taken Nate Blackwell out of the point position, posted him down on the box with the shorter Pooh Richardson. It appeared they were going to try to isolate and post up. They got a little nervous and threw up a quick one, never even went to him.
Richardson matched up there against Evans.
Temple in their matchup. It takes a lot of shapes. However you line up, that's the way they'll match you.
Here's Daly twisting and turning, losing the ball. Off his foot, out of bounds. 4 turnovers now against UCLA. I tell you, the Philadelphia newspapers weren't very kind to Mr. Daly. They said the best thing about his game in New York over the weekend was his suntan.
Well, there's no question that there's been some question about the inside of UCLA. And to his credit, he's only been playing basketball 4 years. But on that bench, Greg Foster is an athlete that we've come to expect from UCLA, and he's going to be in there before too long.
Blackwell hanging in the air, missing. The defensive board ripped down by Jackson, who was fouled. It appears to be number 2 on Ramon Rivas.
Almost on cue. Here comes Greg Foster at 6'10" from Oakland. There's a good shot of John Chaney, a man who was a physical education teacher at Overbrook High School when Walt Hazzard was in his glory days as a high school player.
Greg Foster checks in to replace Haley. Foster, a 6'10" freshman from Oakland. Just turned 18 in October, and here he is on the road with the Bruins.
This is the kind of a pit that really makes rookies grow up. I dare say in high school, they didn't see anything quite like this.
Still belongs to UCLA. Good shot of Montel Hatcher, who's hit a couple of three-pointers here early. In fact, from that range, he's 2 for 3 so far.
Little hand-to-hand combat down in the middle.
Richardson penetrating, got the ball back, and it was traveling when he came back down. Now they're going to call it a possession.
Don Chaney wanted a walk. That's called pleading your case. And the answer, no, no, no.
Hatcher bombs away from outside. It's a three-pointer, and he's 3 for 4.
John Chaney may look back on that one. Big turnaround there.
Possible 5-point swing.
You bet.
2 or more the Temple didn't get, and 3 that UCLA did.
Good man-for-man defense by UCLA. They played good defense against St. John Saturday. They just couldn't stop the second shots.
Brantley was stuffed by Foster. He'll try it again. And it was tipped up and in. Nice work underneath by Mike Frieswick. His first 2. He's averaging 15. And Blackwell a steal for a couple.
Temple really needed that. A quick turnaround got this crowd back in it.
Got them back to within a point at 11-10. Operating underneath. And that will be offensive goaltending on Trevor Wilson.
That's all right, though. I'm sure Walt Hazzard can live with that. He plays with a reckless abandon. Watch Trevor Wilson come now. Soft off the front of the rim. Of course, it's offensive basket interference. But that's all right. Those are errors of commission. You want your rookies making those. Usually they're shy, especially on the road.
Temple looking to retake the lead. Brantley turning around. Had to adjust his shot because of the defense. And the ball now is up the floor with Richardson, receiving it from Charles Rochelin, who checked in a moment ago. And UCLA plagued by turnovers here early.
Is that some pass or what?
13-10 Bruins. Oh, look at that jumper from the outside by Frieswick, and he has 4.
Both teams heating up now. Early Temple was trying too hard. UCLA trying to get the feel of the place. It appears both teams now have their legs.
Trevor Wilson shuffled the feet.
Walt Hazzard going to the bench again. Immel coming in. Going to a lot of people early.
11:43 left first half. UCLA by 1. 13-12 UCLA. 11:43 remaining, and it was an outstanding play to Foster a moment ago for 2 by the Bruins.
Watch Greg Foster now, the 6'10" rookie from Oakland. He takes the pass from Pooh Richardson and nails it. One of the problems with a Temple defense, which is passive half-court matchup, is that there isn't great pressure on the ball. And when a Pooh Richardson can look over your defense with athletes like Foster and Wilson underneath, he can throw that ball to the rim. I expect the ball to be played much tougher, or we're going to see more alley-oops.
Blackwell operating against Hatcher, coast to coast, using the glass, too short. And the rebound ripped down by the Bruins, Charles Rochelin. Trevor Wilson, Immel in for the first time. Trevor Wilson averaging 5 a game, shooting 56% from the field. He will be an outstanding role player until he's ready to start.
And it's going to be soon. Foster and Wilson will be starters probably early in the Pac-10 season. And the fact that the Pac-10 is going to play their conference tournament in Pauley Pavilion, it's like putting a fox in the chicken coop. They're going to be loaded by the end of the year.
And you just saw the first two from Derek Brantley, averaging 4 a game for the Owls. UCLA by 1. 9 minutes and 20 seconds into the first half. Baseline jumper from the right side. Nice touch by Rushlin, a 6'7" sophomore from Toronto.
It appears Walt Hazzard came in here with a mandate to play everybody. He's going down that bench. He's putting them in there. He's going to find out who can do it.
Evans from the right side, a little too strong. And Wilson lost his footing as he came down. Hazard and Wilson thinking he was fouled on the play. It squirted out of bounds. It belongs to Temple. As checking in is number 21, Rod Palmer, a 6'3" sophomore out of Compton, California, UCLA guard. So the shuttle continues here.
It's very difficult to maintain continuity with this many substitutions.
Evans was blocked by Immel on the play as he tried to penetrate for the jumper. So back the other way comes Dave Immel out of Hillsboro, Oregon, a 6'4" junior. And the steal there by Derek Brantley, and quickly the turnover.
Temple still a bit anxious.
It's been fun at times and sloppy at times here in the first half.
It's very tough to look good against Temple. The kind of defense to play. They're tough kids. They very much model themselves after their coach, John Chaney. It's just gritty out there. They're very tough to look smooth against.
Trevor Wilson didn't like his shooting lane and tried to dump it off. Turnover. Here's Blackwell. Rainbow jumper won't go for Darren Pearsall.
The Owls really putting it up quick.
Immel for Foster.
How's that for agility for your basic 6'10" guy finishing a break at the broken circle? There aren't many 6-footers that can make that play.
He's only shooting 72% from the field this year.
He looks like Sam Bowie, the former Kentucky great. In fact, he even has Bowie tattooed on his arm. He has that
dumped in there by Howard Evans, and a foul called on UCLA.
There's a good look at well, we had a good look at Greg Foster. Rushlin from Canada, spent a lot of time around the New York area as a kid. Has a lot of moxie, great athlete.
Lived there as well as Montreal, was born in Haiti.
Like to be his travel agent.
Here's Perry, nice move. Went for the slam and couldn't get it down with the offensive board, Brantley, but no basket.
Perry makes a power move to the hoop. Goes right over Foster. Looks like he might have been hit, but weak side defense. Brantley coming back with a big second effort, but it appeared before the shot. Mickey Crowley made a call. Who was the foul on, Bob?
The man you're looking at, Charles Rushlin. That's 2 on him. And at the line is Derek Brantley, a 6'7" junior out of Willingboro, New Jersey, JFK High School there. 3 points now. He's shooting 70% from the line.
Temple's got a big club on the floor. When they go to their bench, they go 6'6", 6'7", and they're good athletes.
Brantley has 4. UCLA by 3. 9 minutes left before intermission. Immel penetrating, but he walked before he dumped it off for Foster.
Immel is a fine three-point shooter, the most productive so far for UCLA, and that's a mouthful when you consider that Reggie Miller is on that club.
Almost a turnover a minute for UCLA. 10 in 11 minutes of play.
Well, I think part of that is all the substitutions. It's really hard to smooth it out when you have that many people running in and out.
Turn around, Perry. That's 4 for the big man.
His jump shot is very flat, but that little half jump hook has a nice arc on it. I think that also is respect for the good leapers in the front 9 now for UCLA.
UCLA already in the penalty situation in terms of fouls, already in double digits in turnovers, and a rather unnecessary reaching in foul on Howard Evans.
Double fouls on number 21, Howard Evans.
Evans, the big assist man for Temple, 12 against Memphis State and 10 in a ball game against Penn. Penetrating Palmer. Rushlin from the right side, short. Got his own board because of the good bounce, and there's Perry with the reject. Miller. Uncertain was Reggie, and he walked with it, and that's number 11. He has not scored yet either.
When asked today if he was going to play, even if he didn't feel well, he said, "I've got to play." Pooh is always there. Pooh Richardson, when I need him, we're coming into Pooh's hometown. He needs me. I'm going to be there.
Rod Palmer with UCLA's foul. Walt Hazzard concerned as he checks the scoreboard and that foul situation. A lot of time left to get free throws here. 8:06 for the home team. Blackwell at the line where he shoots 92%. Had a career high of 33 earlier this season in a victory over LaSalle. The only team Temple has lost to, Nevada, Las Vegas, the #1 team in the nation again this week in the AP poll.
And they had them 12 down. They had UNLV 12 down pretty far into the second half and let it get away. It's really hard to imagine as good as their guards are. But UNLV is a very powerful team, and the three-point shot really undid them.
Underneath, Immel colliding with Brantley, who will be called for the foul. That was a pretty good pivot pass by Foster.
One of his great talents is passing. It's premature to compare him with the Walton, who was a premier passing center, but he has those tendencies.
Things are rolling with 7:55 left first half. The home team, the Owls, on top by 1. John Chaney is in his 5th year here at Temple as coach of the Owls with a winning percentage of 74%, 97 career wins here already. His team has gone to 3 straight NCAAs to the second round each time.
When you think about the teams that took him out of the tournament, North Carolina and Georgetown, and teams of that caliber, you know the job he's done. Temple hired him at 50 years of age, succeeding Don Casey, who had won 61% of his games in 9 years. Casey now an assistant in the pros. Takes guts to hire a guy that age. At least it seems in this day and age, coaching is a young man's game.
Here's Reggie Miller for Pooh Richardson on the left side. Too strong, air ball, Blackwell. Here's Evans. Blackwell thought about the three-pointer, got a little bit closer. It appears to be off the Temple Owls and will belong to UCLA. Brantley, the last man to touch it. 7:27, first half. Temple 20, UCLA 19. Owls led by 4 early. Bruins by as many as 3 after that. Here's a quick move by Miller. People in his face, and the shot is way short. They're really double-teaming Reggie Miller.
When he puts it on the floor, he immediately draws a crowd.
Breezewick into the paint. Blackwell in close, can't get it down, and neither can Perry on the tip.
The Owls all over that offensive board. This has plagued UCLA all year. They can't limit their opponent to 1 shot after they play very good defense.
And that hurt him at St. John's, didn't it, Bucky?
Killed them, just killed them. St. John's had 15 offensive rebounds. Willie Glass and Shelton Jones had a picnic on the offensive board, and that was the difference.
Immel, cross country. Foster, soft touch from the free throw line. The freshman from Oakland Skyline High School has 6.
Jack Haley's going to have a lot more time to get a tan if Foster keeps playing like this.
Bruins retaking the lead at 21-20. Perry battling Foster. And the freshman draws his first foul as the junior worked on the underclassmen a little bit.
He sure did. Foster has to learn to be ready to play defense. He started playing after he had given position to Perry in the middle. He'll get smarter.
Back in Montel Hatcher, the man you're looking at hot with those 3-pointers earlier. At the line, Perry, only a 56% shooter, but he gets the first one down. He has 5 in the game. He was number 2 in blocks in the country last year with 4 a game. He had 5 or more 12 times. He has the ball again from Evans. Howard skates baseline. Perry reluctant to put up the jumper. Brantley wasn't. He couldn't get it down. Here's Breezewick, and that's goaltending. 2 points for Mike Breezewick.
Offensive rebounds, offensive rebounds. Temple just tattooing that glass. There's one. And going right back up with the second. It really doesn't matter what kind of defense you're playing if you're giving your opponent 2 and 3 cracks at you.
Rochelin was the man whistle down there. Temple by a couple, 23-21. Hatcher missing from three-point range. Perry kept it alive so Evans could pull it down. And Frieswick with the turnover. In almost 15 minutes of play, that's only the third Temple turnover. There's not a coach in the country that would mind 3 turnovers in 15 minutes.
And it's not rare because, as we pointed out at the top of the show, last year they were #1 in Division I with the fewest number of turnovers per game, right around 10. That's amazing. That's a tribute to your guards and your coaching.
Miller scoreless so far. Hatcher dumps it left side. Up and in for the big man, Rochelin, who's showing a nice touch from that left corner. He has 4, a 6'7" sophomore. We're knotted up at 23, 15 minutes gone. A lot of things coming up for you at halftime this evening. Look at the move by Perry. He was hacked on the iron. And that could be 3 on Rochelin.
As good as Greg Foster is, he's getting a clinic tonight. Perry moves under, power move right by him. The weak side defense coming across too little too late. Rochelin with a 45-inch vertical leap was licking his chops. He got some ball, but he surely did nail Perry too. An emotional player. I'll tell you one thing, he's got 3 fouls, but there's scar tissue with every one of them.
And he's still explaining to the referee that he went straight up and didn't leave his feet. If he didn't leave his feet, he must have some extenders on those big shoes of his. Here's Perry hitting the first one. He has 6. Checking in for UCLA, a starter, Craig Jackson. They've got to get Rochelin out of there, who scored 4 but has 3 fouls. So the 6'8" junior is back in as Perry looks for 2 in a row from the stripe. 7 for him, the Owls by 2. 4:50 left, first half.
We're back to the starting team with the exception of Foster for Haley for UCLA.
Montel Hatcher on an assist from Pooh Richardson.
Indeed, that's what set it up. Pooh Richardson just drives into the crease, draws a crowd, kicks it out. He not only makes the pass, he puts it right on the numbers. All the shooter has to do is be set and stroke it.
Evans lost the ball on his way up. Fast break. Here comes Pooh Richardson. First basket of the night. Not yet. Evans kept him from scoring.
Evans and Pooh Richardson were a backcourt combination in the summer schoolyards. All right, the mistake is made. Evans gets buried inside. UCLA, who wants to go, feeds Richardson on a pry pattern. Evans trying to come back and get well. Wanted to make sure there was not a three-point attempt. He did that.
Richardson on the board for the first time, averaging 12 a game. Right now he is averaging 10 assists per game. We saw an outstanding one a moment ago on the three-pointer by Hatcher. Darren Pearsall is waiting to check in. Now he will come in for Temple, and Evans will get a breather, leaving with 2 points, 2 fouls. Pearsall, 6'7" sophomore out of Chester, Pennsylvania.
Very talented, Bob. He's been very inconsistent. He's one of those players that has all the skills. He just hasn't put it together with any consistency.
UCLA settles for a 1-point lead. Frieswick looking for Blackwell. Frieswick had it off of his hand. Here comes Miller dishing for Richardson on the break. Montel Hatcher thought about it from in close. He doesn't feel comfortable that close in. Here's Richardson. Still can't get a field goal.
Blackwell and Richardson not shooting well, but demonstrating their skills as point guards. Watch Blackwell when he shoots now. It's not really a jump shot. It's more of a stab.
Jump hook is short from Perry. And here come the Bruins. Richardson changing gears, dumping for Hatcher. And Pearsall with the defensive board for the Owls, who trailed by 1, 3:15 remaining first half. Pearsall, after a pass from Breezewick, out on top for Blackwell against Richardson. Reggie Miller watching Pearsall defensively. Shot clock down to 15. Blackwell too strong. Brantley, did he push off to get that rebound? Official says yes, he did.
John Chaney feels like his team is getting the shots that it wants. It just can't get them to go down. Nate Blackwell with gimmies, and it won't go. Playing a little tight.
That's 2 on Brantley.
I'm surprised Temple is not going back into Perry down inside. He's been very successful operating on that young UCLA front line.
Greg Jackson, a 2-time all-academic Big Ten selection.
Both teams shooting themselves in the foot right now, having every opportunity to surge ahead for a good lead at the half with 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go. Neither one can convert.
Pearsall for Blackwell. You keep waiting for Blackwell and Richardson to explode somewhere along the line here. Breezewick, a three-pointer. He has 9.
Boy, that's some release.
Miller from long range. Still scoreless. The rebound for Perry.
I'm not surprised that UCLA is shooting so quickly. Temple is shooting a little quicker than I think John Chaney would like for him to. He's not afraid to run with him, but he wants to keep UCLA on defense.
Perry looking for Blackwell. Back to Perry, working on the freshman Foster. Nice little touch there for Darren Pearsall, averaging 3 a game, his first basket of the night.
Temple able to do almost anything at once with its man-for-man attack, getting down inside, getting good shots. UCLA defense not as good as it was Saturday in New York against St. John's.
Richardson on the move and was fouled. Pearsall brushed him as he went by. Temple matching its biggest lead at this point, 4 points. With 1:30 left, coming up at halftime, Bucky will have a feature on these Bruins of UCLA and some of the great tradition. Trevor Wilson checking back in, the freshman. We'll also update you with what's going on around the world of college basketball. Talk about some of the upsets. Two points for Jerome Richardson.
John Chaney keeping Evans and Rivas on the bench with 2 fouls. He kind of likes this team on the floor right now, and he's staying with it.
He has 3, and we have a timeout on the floor. With 1:30 remaining first half of play, the Temple Owls on top of the Bruins of UCLA by 2. Home team by 2. 1:30 left in the first half. Rebounding a factor so far.
Indeed, the same old problem, and it's really hard to say why. You look at the athletes for UCLA, you say, well, they're soft. Not so. Not when he goes to the bench, and the amount of playing time that Wilson and Foster have had tonight. I think they're going to be starters before too long. They've got to do something about rebounding. They are down 20 in the offensive rebound column, and they can't win in the Pac-10 or any major conference as long as they're giving 2 shots each time down the floor.
Pearsall works against Trevor Wilson. Blackwell and Richardson. One minute left in the half as the shot clock reaches 15. Blackwell up strong. Nate has 6. He's averaging 19.
He's taking Pooh Richardson right to the broken circle. Remember, Blackwell's 6'4", but plays 6'6". He's all arms and legs, and he's posting Richardson.
Jackson down deep for Foster. Pearsall reached up and got ball and the hand of Foster, says the official. It'll be 2 on the 6'7" sophomore.
Look for UCLA to hit with a quick press after this. 35 seconds left. They don't want Temple to hold for one. It's an excellent time to press. When a team is trying to play keep away to get the last shot, they don't play with the same kind of assertiveness, and it's much easier to get the steal. Big Atlantic 10 banner. Temple the favorite in the Atlantic 10. Already 1-0 in the league with the win at St. Bonaventure. Now that may not mean much to you out in the far west or the Midwest, but in the East, when you escape Olean, New York with a win against the Bonnies, you've done something.
West Virginia picked 2nd in the league, St. Joseph's 3rd. St. Joe's won it last year, a game ahead of Temple and West Virginia. Foster, 3 out of 5, now 3 of 6 from the line so far this year. He has 7 points. Brantley under pressure in the backcourt, clears it for Vrieswijk. Here comes Perry. Owls by 3, 25 seconds remaining.
You knew where that ball was going as quickly as they could get it to Blackwell. Watch him work now. He conducts this like Eugene Ormandy used to conduct the Philadelphia Philharmonic. He'll release it at just the right time.
10 on the game clock. Blackwell, short. Rebound Foster, down the court quickly. 2, 1, they don't get it away. And Temple settles for a 3-point lead at the half.
No alibi with only one scoreboard. UCLA was going at the only one that worked, and they failed to look up. It cost them a deuce, possibly. He could have pulled up with a short jumper and probably taken him down just 1. But it's Temple by 3 at the half.
To the tune of 32-29. Temple with a record to bring you some very interesting field goal percentages and some interesting breakdowns in the rebounding area.
Incredible. Temple shooting only 31% and leading by 3, even though they're at home. Look at the free throws attempted. Temple, known to be a perimeter team, has managed to get down inside, partly because of 11 offensive rebounds against the taller, stronger Bruins. Free throw percentage of 82%. That's the difference. Had it not been for a 3 for 7 from the three-point area by UCLA, they would be in deep, deep trouble.
All of those from Montel Hatcher, who has a bunch of them. 10 of those 11 UCLA turnovers came in the first 11 minutes of the game, so they were almost at a turnover a minute rate as the game went on.
Yeah, Bob, I think that's right, and part of it, I think, because they were really parading players through there, and Pooh Richardson wasn't dominating the ball. With those 11 turnovers for the Bruins, they have only 8 assists, and this is a very good transition team. Temple, on the other hand, has 4 assists, 4 turnovers. So they are taking better care of the ball. They are not forcing the break. Temple is playing the city game with 2 fine guards. They're extremely well coached, and I think UCLA has to get the up-tempo. I think they got to come down with their pressure. The famed 2-2-1 full court zone press that Walt Hazzard helped to make famous in 1964 when he broke our heart at Duke for their first national championship. I think we'll see it this half.
And of course, you talk about those players shuttling in and out. One of those is the freshman Greg Foster, and a nice alley-oop here as he cashed in for 2.
A marvelously coordinated freshman at 6'10". Foster from Oakland, California, is going to be a very, very good player, and he's going to do it this year.
Those Temple Owls throughout the first half, Bucky, you've identified this as a real key. They've been all over that offensive glass.
Well, Mike Vrieswijk, who likes to shoot them from 30 feet, managed to penetrate, put it on the floor, and here's Temple just tattooing that offensive board. That time the Bruins escaped. They weren't so lucky for most of the first half.
And at the defensive end, Mr. Perry is an imposing force, all 6'9" of him. He is a tough shot blocker.
Well, only David Robinson, the fine battleship from the Naval Academy, had more skyjacks than Perry last year, and he's picking right up where he left off. Only a junior, the enforcer. Here's the main man, the conductor. 2 fine guards. Blackwell working on Richardson, going right up over the top, utilizing those long arms and a couple extra inches. Temple clearing off the top of the circle, packing the baseline, and basically giving Blackwell a one-on-one on the smaller Richardson, and it pays off.
Now we're ready for the second half of play. Temple will have the basketball. Leading by 3. Their biggest lead in the first half was 4. It's been a close game all the way, but at times sloppily played with a lot of turnovers early. Here's Evans. We got Blackwell operating down deep, receiving the pass from Evans. Didn't pay off in an early 2. Reggie Miller got the defensive rebound.
Both teams with the original starting lineups. No one in foul trouble except Richardson. The sophomore from UCLA has 3 fouls. Everyone else does not have to play inhibited.
Jackson down deep for Haley. A brick off the glass. And the rebound controlled by Ramon Rivas. Didn't see much of him in the latter part of the first half. He left rather early with a couple of fouls. It was bumped away momentarily by Jackson, and now Vrieswijk controls for Blackwell.
Vrieswijk, an interesting sophomore, had 24 against Nevada, Las Vegas. A very confident shooter.
There he goes. Boom.
Boy, does he love that bank shot. He chalks his cue and nails it.
Into double figures with 11. Montel Hatcher leads all scorers with a dozen for UCLA. The drive and the jumper from Pooh Richardson. His first field goal of the night. He's shooting 50% from the field.
Walt Hazzard holding back the 2-2-1, staying with man pressure. I think they're going to have to double team and see if they can't get Blackwell to give that ball up.
Rivas with the turnaround. Not much touch there. Here's Perry up strong.
The 2 starting centers, Haley and Rivas, both throwing bricks up there. I mean, some air balls look good, some look awful. That one was off the scope.
Miller with Vrieswijk all over him. Gets it back. Richardson. Quick move along the baseline. He didn't have much room, but he used every foot of it, didn't he?
Like an eel.
Pooh has 7. He's averaging a dozen. Reggie Miller was off to a slow start in the St. John's game over the weekend. Again here tonight, has not scored yet. He'll have to be a force in the second half for UCLA in some manner. Rivas with the turnover. Bruins could get back even with this shot. And Miller is on the board for the first time.
Well, on Saturday against St. John's, it was 2 points in the first half, 16 in the second half. The Bruins were down 1 to St. John's at the half, fought back, actually took the lead in the second half before Glass and Shelton Jones just blew them away.
And Mr. Vrieswijk will answer that one at the other end.
Boy, we're talking about some long-range missiles out here.
Now he steals it. And a block there by Reggie Miller. Here's Evans hustling to try to steal. Pooh Richardson comes away with it. And the pace is quickening.
Boy, I'm glad I don't have a starched shirt on. I have my neck cut off. It's nothing but action.
Blackwell batted it away, got it back from Evans. The strong guard play of Temple University. It's 40-36.
A big key has been Vrieswijk. He's not only scoring, he's stripped Reggie Miller.
The crowd on its feet as Richardson is stuffed by Rivas on the drive.
In fairness to Rivas and Haley, they were both on the bench a long time in the first half.
Mike Vrieswijk is red hot. He has 17 points, and Walt Hazzard wants a timeout. 16:04 left in the game. Hazzard is furious. His team is down by 7 in Philly. Coach Bruce Arians here at Temple. Paul Palmer, his outstanding talent and a Heisman candidate. They're enjoying the action right now with the Owls up by 7. Richardson from outside, missing, and the rebound for Tim Perry.
There's great euphoria in this building now, but if you're a Temple fan, you have to remember they led UNLV by 7 at the half and had them down 12 deep in the second half, only to let the running Rebels get away from them. And UNLV and UCLA are very similar teams. They like the fast lane, they can hurt you inside, and they can go for three-pointers in a heartbeat.
Foul was on Montel Hatcher as Howard Evans drove, threw up the soft touch and could not get it to drop. Howard has a couple. Three for three from the line tonight. Number one on the team in assists and steals and three-point percentage. Has not been able to launch one tonight from that range.
Credit to UCLA defense for that. They're playing pretty tough man for man on the first shot. It's the second shot that hurts.
Temple, the biggest lead of the game at 9. Miller wanting to do something about that with a three-pointer.
Yeah, I'd say the ankle and the stomach are all right now.
2 in a row.
They got to check the Philadelphia airport for those missiles. That'll confuse their radar. He and Breezewick could really get in a shootout.
Here's Blackwell from 14 feet. Got just inside the line and let it fly. Into double figures. It's a 9-point Temple lead once more. Bucky on the Miller three-pointer. Look at this one. From way out there, Rivas has the rebound. On Miller's first three-pointer, UCLA tied it at 17-20. A minute 16 later, Temple led by 7. They really exploded in a hurry. And the defense of Blackwell made something happen. He batted one to Evans, who fed it back to him for a down-court layup. Perry up strong, it won't go. Rivas and Breezewick there. They both had their hands on it, and they both took a step or two.
Nice problem for Temple. John Chaney has done a remarkable job here. Took Chaney State to the national championship in Division II. In his 5th year at Temple, already recruiting outstanding high school players from as far away as Michigan, and the Temple people are very happy with his tenure.
Washland missing from downtown. Perry with the defensive board, and here comes Howard Evans. Temple by 8, 47-39. Underneath for Rivas. Or is it Foster reaching in?
Again, the inexperience of Foster allowing Rivas, whom he probably doesn't feel threatened by offensively. But once that ball goes down and low, nothing good can happen for the defense.
Our first look this evening at Kevin Walker, a 6'10 freshman out of Brea, California. Only has appeared in, well, he's appeared in every game, but has not scored, and he's just giving somebody a breather here.
Walt Hazzard said he's the best offensive player of the 3 big freshmen. Fine outside shooter.
Trying to do the job on defense right now. Perry backing in over Washington, who's got to be careful with 3 fouls. Foster grabbed it as it just wouldn't fall. We are 6:10 into the second half. From the right side, it is Rushland.
UCLA not even looking inside now. It's 1 pass, 2 pass, and a bomb.
Blackwell almost stuffed from behind, managed to get the shot away, and here comes Pooh Richardson. Washington has a hot hand, but that one was short. Ball was stripped out of the hands of Walker, who was going up for an easy 2. Alert grab there by Howard Evans, who knocked it out of bounds.
It looked for a second like he was going to try to save it, and if he saved it, he almost had to throw it right back to Walker underneath for the easy shot.
An easy basket there, and the Bruins would have been back to within 4 after trailing by 9. Richardson had to dump it off. Hatcher, three-pointer. Too strong. On the back of Blackwell was Walker.
UCLA just no semblance of an inside game except when they get in trouble. It's a little early to hit the panic switch and start throwing up three-point shots.
Hatcher will take a seat, and Dave Immel is back in. Immel saw action in the first half, did not score.
UCLA for the season coming into this game, 15 for 35 from the three-point line, almost 43%. So they're capable. Blackwell down on the baseline again, posting up with Richardson. It's too crowded to take advantage of it down there, though.
Rivas with a strong move. That looked like the Penn Railroad coming into the key there. All 6'10", 260 of him.
Well, looks like a bus, moves like a bus.
Temple by 8. 12 and a half minutes remaining. Immel stepped around Vrieswijk and then he walked. Rivas stepped right in front of him and Immel found himself with nowhere to go.
Hazzard up on almost every call now. Those suspenders aren't California, they're Philly.
Big sequence here for Temple. They could have a double-digit lead if Rivas can convert. And on the way up, he met Kevin Walker.
Walker can fly. I don't know where he came from. Boy, look at Rivas muscle out Foster. Muscling back in. Walker comes from the weak side. I think he's smart enough to know that Foster was in severe foul trouble, and he came over to bail him out. He labeled the big guy.
Jack Haley back in. Walker stays in, and Foster is the man who has a seat.
I don't think I'd want to run flailing at that man without a tetanus shot. Big guy.
Ramon Rivas.
265 pounds. If you believe that bulk is water retention, we could be looking at the Gulf of Mexico. Cheney, a very anxious competitor. Paces, cajoles, massages. He's not stoic at all on that sideline.
The big man does his job by dropping them both. He has 6. It's a 10-point Temple lead. Immel almost shuffled that back foot as he stopped his dribble. The drive by Richardson out of control. Got his own rebound with help from Walker.
Now it's the Bruins who are getting on the offensive glass.
The Temple fans like their defense. Walker from the corner, way short. Easy board for Tim Perry. And now it's time for Blackwell to take his time.
It's also Miller time. Reggie Miller coming back in, down 10 with 11:20 to go.
Blackwell baseline left for Evans. It won't go, but a foul underneath. Appears to be against the Owls.
Lineup number 31, Reggie Miller returns for UCLA.
Vrieswijk, the man you're looking at. And then Walt Hazzard. And we have a timeout on the floor. 11:17 left, a double-digit lead for the home team. Today, the Dayton Flyers hosting the Buckeyes of Ohio State in that cross-state matchup. Live coverage begins at 8 Eastern. Same-day coverage out on the West Coast. That's Ohio State and Dayton tomorrow. Then later in the month, we'll be down in Louisville for Georgia and Kentucky. Kicking off our Southeastern Conference coverage on USA. We've got some outstanding matchups for you as we move into the conference season at the end of the month and the end of the year.
Southeastern Conference expected to be especially tough. A prestigious win for the league with Vandy's win over Indiana.
Immel from Richardson, driving, dumping it for Haley, and the tip was knocked in by Rushlin.
Number 35, Charles Richardson.
Rushlin has 8. That was a vital bucket for UCLA. They missed there and they might have been down by a dozen. Perry too strong, but Brantley is there. Ball was slapped by Richardson. Brantley kept it. An air ball short. It was Haley with the rebound. Immel has to hustle. And Brantley has it on the turnover.
Hard to believe the mistakes are being made out there by UCLA. Just carelessness with the ball. When Pooh Richardson doesn't have the ball for the Bruins, almost anything can happen. And a lot of times it's not good for the Bruins.
Vrieswijk. It's a two-pointer. He was standing on the line, but he has 19. His career high was that 24 you alluded to earlier, Bucky, against Nevada, Las Vegas.
Well, I go back to that game where all the euphoria in this building by Temple leading just under 10 minutes by 10. They let the running Rebels get away from them with a 12-point lead at about this juncture.
Immel looking for something. He finds Richardson. Evans with good coverage there. The jumper from Rushlin. He did not start the game, but he's come off the bench to score 10. Came in averaging 1.5 points a game.
That UCLA bench is deep. And Walt Hazzard came in tonight with a commitment to play it. I think he's finding out something about his club.
Nice penetration, soft touch. Blackwell has a dozen.
That's what the franchise player is supposed to do for you. Get the clutch bucket. He won a game Saturday night against St. Bonaventure with 3 seconds to go. Immel's just killing them with the ball out there. They've got to get it back in the hands of Richardson.
Numerous turnovers from the hands of number 30. Richardson, the man who sits down. Checking in, Rod Palmer, number 21. A 6'3" sophomore out of Dominguez High School in Compton, California, where he was an All-American, averaging a point a game. So this will be a critical rest period for UCLA with Richardson sitting down by 10.
He's averaging about 38 minutes a game. His stay on the bench will be a cameo, I'll guarantee you that.
Blackwell working on Palmer. Bingo! 14 for Nate.
So far, UCLA has failed to turn him right. The left-hander Blackwell has been able to go left at will.
And that's Rushlin with a dozen. That's not fair to come off the bench and have a guy work you over like that, is it? Palmer came in and Blackwell took him to the cleaners.
It says, hello, welcome to Philadelphia. If there's brotherly love here, we don't have much in this gym tonight.
The lead holding at 10. Blackwell penetrating, drawing the foul. The whistle goes against Rod Palmer, his second.
Well, at least they made him do something different. They forced him to the right. When he goes right, he almost has to go all the way. It's tough to get that left-handed shot back in.
Not only have they won 24 straight, they've won 61 of 62. The last loss here was against Duquesne in overtime, February 12th, 1983. It's approaching 4 years.
Well, they're on a 5-game win streak right now, and it could be 7 except for a buzzer beater by UNLV.
Blackwell working on Palmer again. See you later. At 16, he has 10 in the first 12 minutes of the second half.
I think Hazzard has to match a taller player on Blackwell. He's just backing in the shorter UCLA guards and going right up over the top.
Breeswick getting a little tough with Palmer. That'll be the first on Mike, who offensively has had just about a flawless game tonight. Little bloodshed. It looks like he took a fingernail or something on that right arm. But he's been the big star tonight with 19. 7:39 left. The Temple Owls lead the UCLA Bruins by a dozen. Bucky, you're used to all this down Duke way. Yeah. But what about these fans at Temple? They're having fun tonight.
Well, they really are, and they have to be proud of this team. They have been a great lift to them because Temple did not start well. They were very tight, and they hung in there on guts. Now they've got it going. And look at this, look at this. John Taney's talking about defensive position. I thought he was going to ask Evans to dance.
Richardson back in.
Excited.
Pooh is back in. He receives it from Immel, and he'll run the offense now. Immel gets it back from him. Looking for Pooh on the left side, twisting away from Breeswick. Baseline left, double team nicely. Good help there from Tim Perry.
They really do. They know where Richardson is, and they're forcing him to give that ball up.
Wilson makes another appearance, and he's fouled by Derek Brentley, his third.
Immel now taking over the top of the key, and it appears that Richardson is trying to make entry from the wing in the baseline. That's fine, except Immel has had a tendency to try to penetrate. If he does, they're going to be vulnerable to the fast break. And while Temple is not a fast lane team, they're very smart, and they're always looking.
Immel dumping it in for Wilson. Trevor turning, arms everywhere. Nice feed for Haley, who is looking, but he may have walked.
Walt Hazzard is livid.
Turnovers really hurt his team in the first 11 minutes of the game.
I thought there was a lot of contact. I'm not sure about the walk, but there was a heck of a lot of contact.
A lot of bodies in that paint. That's why Trevor Wilson could not get a shot. So he was looking for the man coming down. Blackwell, baseline right. They've got Richardson on him. Evans, three-pointer. A little bit short, and the rebound for Jack Haley.
In the old tradition, UCLA really goes for that board.
Richardson, 16-footer. Jerome has 9. The spread is 10. 6:35 and counting.
Only 3 team fouls for Temple. That may come into play.
And there's number 6 against UCLA and number 4 against Charles Rushlin.
He's got to stay with him now, though. That's at the point of the game at 6:28. Even though he has 4 fouls, Rushlin has been an offensive spark. One more chance at Miller time. Hazzard going back to Reggie Miller, who spent more time going horizontal in and out of the game tonight than he has gone vertically up and down from offense to defense.
Blackwell, a three-pointer. He has 19, his season average. He's come alive here with 13 since halftime. Almost a point a minute for Nate Blackwell. Immel from long range, but we had a whistle before the shot. It only holds 4,500 McGonigal Hall, Bucky, but they sound like 9 or 10,000.
And they're jacked now.
We had a foul on Brentley. That's 4 on him. He's the only Temple Owl in any kind of foul trouble. Wilson leaves for UCLA, and you're looking at Craig Jackson, who just stepped back in. 6:05 left. The spread is 13.
Hazzard going with experience. His starting team back on the floor at 6 minutes even.
Jerome and Walt Hazzard thought Richardson was fouled on that inbounds play. Kind of shook his head, thought there was a hack.
Good poise by UCLA. No time to panic.
Montel Hatcher short. Breezewick brushes off his own man, Derek Brantley, and says, "Hey, big boy, this one belongs to me," on the defensive glass. Now they could go up by as many as 15 or more with the three-pointer. Swish! And it was a three-pointer.
Reggie Miller has got to belly up to Breezewick and make him put it on the floor. That's what Breezewick's doing to him. That time he got called for the foul.
His second. He has 22 on the night, within 2 of his career high. Included in that total, 4 three-pointers, 3 of them in the second half. When they've needed the big basket, they've called on number 32. And lately, of course, don't forget Nate Blackwell. Those two have been the doers for the Owls in the second half. UCLA in deep trouble now, down by 16 with just over 5 minutes remaining. Hatcher with a fake. Evans knocked it away. Breezewick back to him. And that's a technical for hanging on the rim. He had to do it to protect himself.
Well, we'll see.
6.
John Chaney just, oh my, the expression on his face, the elation of the score, and then to see the technical called. Nah, he didn't need to hang. That was showtime. That was showtime. A careless mistake, but it did wake this crowd up.
Reggie Miller hits it. He has 7. UCLA gets a point and the ball.
It only cost them 1. They would have had the ball anyway.
17 points the spread after that free throw. Jerome Richardson and Montel Hatcher, the guards.
That was one of the circumstances we talked about the UCLA guards driving and not having defensive balance. Here we go again. There's nobody back.
Hatcher, nice penetration. The basket and the foul from 14 feet away.
Anytime Pooh Richardson gets off the top of the key and drifts to the wing, whomever has come to the back, either Hatcher or Immel, have tended to penetrate. Watch now. There is nobody for UCLA behind that free throw line. They're vulnerable for another breakaway.
Frieswick, the man who committed the foul. Timeout UCLA. They're down by 15 with 4:44 remaining on the road. Temple Owls looking to go 8-1. They lead by a bunch. Welcome back to Philadelphia. The hometown Temple Owls by 15 over the Bruins of UCLA. You know, it's a tough week coming up for the Bruins, too. It's on to the road up Washington State way to open the Pac-10 season. Things won't get any easier for Walt Hazzard and his team. Bucky, one question for you at this point. Are you surprised from the UCLA standpoint that you haven't seen more of Richardson and Montel Hatcher together in this second half? We saw a lot of Immel in there with either one of the two.
Well, I think Walt Hazzard came with a commitment of trying to play some combinations. Yes, I am a little bit, but I also think he was trying to find room for Reggie Miller and his illness. There are a whole lot of reasons, and I'm sure Walt has some good ones. Mostly, it's been too much tempo.
Hatcher completed the three-point play. Here's a Richardson steal. Got it back from Miller. Ooh, and he almost had it slide off the iron. Pooh has 11.
All right, here's the 2-2-1 zone press. May have saved it a little late, but it's down to 12. At 4:18, there's an awful lot of time, with or without a three-point shot.
Blackwell operating, now leaves it off for Howard Evans.
Temple has now moved their set up to a double high. They've been operating down on the boxes.
Frieswick against Miller. What a game for number 32 with 22 points. Good patience here by Temple. Shot clock reads 10 and counting. A foul away from the ball appears to be on Jack Haley of UCLA. His second foul. He has no points on the night.
UCLA fouls on number 15, Jack Haley.
There's the showdown of the point guards we talked about. 11 points, 2 assists for Pooh Richardson. 19 points, 3 assists. Remember one thing, Nate Blackwell is a senior, and he's at home. Pooh Richardson on the road with a club right now that's struggling, but I think is going to be a very fine basketball team by the time that Pac-10 tournament heads into Pauley Pavilion. For the first time this year, the Pac-10 will have a postseason tournament, and by that time, the Fosters and the Wilsons and the Walkers will have played their way up to 20-25 minutes a game, and the Bruins will be deep and they'll be strong.
13 points the spread as Perry hit 1 of 2. Hatcher for Richardson, dumping it in for Haley. Miller faked the three-pointer, drew the foul, pumped it up there, and got it to touch iron, and that might be 5 on Frieswick.
What a smooth move. Reggie Miller just begs for this. Watch it. He beats Frieswick, then he edges back in, knowing there is almost no chance that there won't be contact.
Officially now,
operator.
That is 4 on the 6'7" sophomore.
Well, the thing that makes John Chaney pace up and down that sideline is he doesn't want fouls to stop the clock, especially way out there. Even with Reggie Miller, you don't want people being fouled on a three-point attempt. Chaney wants a timeout. He wants it now.
It'll come with 3:39 remaining. Temple 68, UCLA 55 here at McGonigal Hall, where it's packed in Philadelphia. And so we have the conference on the sidelines.
Both teams in the bonus now.
Our coverage of college basketball, of course, continuing tonight, and you can send out 86 with a bang New Year's Eve with USA's Wednesday night fights. Marvin Machine Gun Garris takes on Anthony Cobra Williams for the Pennsylvania lightweight title. Wednesday night fights from the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia. Wednesday the 31st at 8 p.m. right here on USA Sports. That's a good sports week we have for you. The night before that, Bucky and I will be down in Louisville for the Bulldogs and the Wildcats, Georgia and Kentucky SEC basketball.
Freedom Hall. It will seem a little strange
Sure
to see a team in blue out there when you're so used to seeing the Cardinals. Traditionally, Kentucky plays one game a year, and there they've been playing Notre Dame over the years around the Christmas break. This time it'll be an SEC match. Hugh Durham, an old Louisville native, will take his Bulldogs to test Eddie Sutton's Wildcats, and Eddie has been like a Blue Cross advertisement this year. All manner of injuries.
And the folks over in Dayton will see you tomorrow night for the Flyers and Ohio State. Temple, what a record they've had in December. 21-3 over the last 4 years.
They haven't been bad in March either. As we pointed out, 3 straight years they've been to the second round of the NCAA, and they've been knocked out by teams like North Carolina, Georgetown, and Kansas. This program has arrived.
They are telling the story to the nation tonight on our telecast, leading UCLA by 13. The 2 misses by Reggie Miller didn't help the Bruins much. They're going to run off some of that clock. Blackwell matched up against Richardson here. They'll use a pick from Perry to let it fly. Perry gets the board. Up with it. Short. Brantley rips it away from Rochland. So now they'll refire with 40 seconds on the shot clock. Not bad.
With the guards that Temple has, you can expect that they will be very difficult to catch in this situation. UNLV did it with immense board power and a ton of three-point shots. Otherwise, this Temple team would be undefeated and knocking on the door, perhaps a #1 rating.
Rochland rebounds the miss from Blackwell, and here comes Richardson. Greg Foster set to check in for UCLA. Look at Richardson negotiate the key. Got the rebound and the basket, and he has 13.
That's why the folks in Philadelphia hated to see him go. He's some kind of guard.
That's a gear I don't think I've seen this year yet. He was in overdrive with control. And as the Bruins stepped across midcourt, or check it after Temple stepped across, we had a foul. Howard Evans is at the line.
Foster back in the game for Haley. Gives the Bruins a lot more speed and board power. Foster not impressive defensively, though. He got in foul trouble mostly because he was beaten to the position so many times, and not by what I would call great post players, Perry and Rivas. You'll see a lot tougher in the Pac-10.
Howard Evans has 7. Add 1, and it's 70-57. The Owls have done a good job of not letting that lead get whittled down. Richardson driving. Miller, baseline left, skating in. Whoa.
In a tuxedo. He's doing his best to make it Miller time.
Can they come from 11 down with 2 minutes remaining? Evans, almost a turnover. Grieswick just managed to save it in front of Montel Hatcher.
Temple a little scrambly now in their obsession to get the ball only to Blackwell.
Grieswick shuffled the feet. Turnover. Eight turnovers against Temple. That one from Hatcher short, left corner.
Give the ball to Reggie Miller. If he's going to do it for you, it's got to be now.
Hacking from behind on Richardson. It'll be the first foul of the night on the man they call Pooh. P-O-O-H. Pooh Bear. Basketball Weekly, after his freshman year, called him the human assist.
Well, he sure has. He has lived up to his billing. The personnel around him, especially the fact that UCLA has not been strong in the front court during his tenure. It's amazing his assist record. He has had 14 on several occasions, which ties him with players like Roy Hamilton, Greg Lee, and Andre McCarter, now an assistant coach and another Philadelphia guard that went west.
Blackwell has 21. 72-59. 1:30 remaining. Foster. And a timeout. Nice touch from the outside by the 6'10 freshman out of Oakland, California. And we'll take a timeout. A minute 26 left. UCLA a long way to go. In its entirety is next on USA this evening. Stay tuned for him. We would like to thank Al Schreier, the Sports Information Director here at Temple, for his help tonight. Our statistician, Don Pico. Did I get it right? Our Associate Director, Gail Wagner, here at courtside. Our producer, Gary Dubin. Bill McCoy, our Director. And Kevin Landy, our Associate Producer. On the inbounds play, a quick foul by the Bruins in blue.
Brantley, 7 for 10 going into the game tonight from the free throw line. Temple may want to rearrange their attack against the press and have Blackwell as the recipient of the inbounds pass, because obviously UCLA is going to grab quick. They should have only superb free throw shooters on the line, and Blackwell is the best.
Nothing doing for Derek Brantley. Here come the Bruins. Richardson for Hatcher. And a boot for Evans. One more thank you to the Associate Athletic Director here at Temple, Mike Fetchko. They were excited about this one here in town, and they've made the most of the opportunity so far.
4,500 sellout. Previous record high was against West Virginia in here in 1985. 4,187.
You know, there was some talk, Bucky, that this game would be played at the Palestra or at the Spectrum, houses that seat a lot more folks. But hey, Coach Chaney wasn't about to give up his little pit syndrome here. He wanted UCLA to try to come into this little building and win, and obviously tonight unable to do it. And Walt Hazzard said, hey, I'd do the same thing if I was him. He understands. Not too many folks like to go to Pauley Pavilion either. Blackwell escaping trouble. 1:03 remaining as the clock stops.
Perry's got to get rid of the ball. They've got to designate the free throw shooters they want to handle it. Right now, UCLA is in a frantic press. And although the high post is a good outlet against all that trapping, the Perrys and the Blackwells and the Brantleys need to be available and need to come to meet the pass, because each one now is going to be contested.
I guess the only thing we could feel bad about tonight was that we were not able to see the real Reggie Miller, and neither was Walt Hazzard.
No, it's been a tough road trip. I'm sure if he were honest before he started, he would have been happy with a split first road trip with a young club. He didn't get it, but there's a lot more basketball in this team before they get to February and March.
Under a minute remaining as Richardson misses, scrambling for his own rebound. The officials look at each other and then make the call and give it to UCLA.
You must remember all those great teams John Wooden had. He very seldom ventured out of Pauley Pavilion except for Pac-10 games.
Look at Miller heave one up from three-point range, and look at the sky of Howard Evans. He was way up there, and now he's fouled from behind, as reaching in was Montel Hatcher. And this one is celebration time at Temple. They've been singing na 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 goodbye for a while. They'll probably start again now.
I think it's a bit premature, especially if Evans should miss these free throws.
The spread is 12 with 47 seconds left. Reggie Miller is out. In is Kevin Walker.
They remember all too well the UNLV finish, which was a barrage of three-point shots and a few turnovers and a few missed free throws.
One or two of those, though, and it should be enough.
Yep.
Evans has 9. There's the story. The Bruins about to be 3-2 with both of those losses in the East.
UCLA is not as good as they looked against North Carolina, and they're not as poor as they looked at times on this road trip.
Richardson with a nice drive as he went through untouched. He has 15. Blackwell breaking the press nicely for Evans. 30 seconds remaining. The Owls are coasting home. Everybody's on their feet now, and we have a foul. Intentional foul called there against UCLA.
A lot of frustration there for Pooh Richardson.
You know, Bucky, you alluded earlier to the beginning of the season And yeah, maybe it doesn't mean too much when Indiana gets beat at Vanderbilt or UCLA gets beat at Temple. But you talk to the hometown fans and it might as well be the second week in March right now.
Well, there's a feeling of vindication. It's human nature. The Philly fans here feeling that Pooh Richardson went west and it was Temple or UCLA. He chose UCLA, and at least for tonight, there's some satisfaction that in their minds, well, that'll show him. Maybe he thinks now he has made the wrong choice. But in the scheme of things, it's going to work out well for everybody.
Blackwell has 21 on the night. Boy, he came alive in the second half. Of his 22, 16 of them since intermission. 13 points is the spread. A miss for Daryl Morris making his first appearance. From the left side, it's in there for Charles Rosslyn, who has 14, and it's over 76-65. The Temple Owls are 8-1 on the year. The UCLA Bruins are 3-2. And victorious John Chaney, his 98th career win at the helm of the Temple Owls. We'll wrap things up from Philly in a moment. The Owls came in ranked number 20 AP. They could make a climb with